Hey, Algebra 1, we have 2A.5 today. So in your first problem, they're going to give us a table, and we have x values and y values. This one is horizontal, it's on its side. Usually we see an xy table with x going down and y going down on the right. But this time we have x on top, y on the bottom, and we need to find the constant of proportionality. So remember, the constant of proportionality is either y over x, or if it's a ratio, it's y colon x, right? So our y goes on top, our x goes on bottom. I'm just going to pick a random point from our table. I picked the point -4, 2. X comes first, y comes second when we're writing a point. However, we're going to put the 2 on top because y goes on top. So 2 on top and -4 on the bottom. Now I just want to simplify this fraction. So what number goes into 2 and also goes into 4? 2 does. So 2 goes into both 2 and 4. 2 divided by 2 is 1. -4 divided by 2 is -2. But when we write a fraction, we always put the negative either on top or out in front. So our constant of proportionality is -1/2. And since this is a negative, it doesn't matter if it's a fraction or a whole number, but since it's a negative, our graph will be going down and to the right. So when we're looking at a graph to see if it goes up or down, we always start on the left side and we move to the right, and this graph happens to be going down because that was a negative. Then last thing, as x increases by 1, how much will y increase or decrease? Well, we're going to use this constant of proportionality. And as x goes up by 1, y is going to decrease because it's a negative. So it's going to decrease by 1/2. So we would say it decreases by 1/2, as shown right here. Second example, we want to write an equation in the form y equals kx, where x and y come from a point, and this k is the constant of proportionality. And in this case, our k is -3. So how are we going to write our linear equation? Y equals -3 instead of k, and then x. So -3 times x. Now, what points, what x and y, and there's infinite answers that we could have, but what points x and y would fit into this equation? Well, how do you find it out? You pick any x that you want to, and then you multiply it by -3 for the y value. So in my first example, I chose 2. So my x is 2. I'm going to plug in a 2 right here. So what's -3 times 2? That's -6. So my y value must be -6. So I would have the point 2, -6 somewhere on this line. And then I would do the same thing with the point down here. Try to come up with a couple points of your own. And we have a word problem to finish it off. So Joe and Katie are splitting a lot of milk, 600 milliliters of milk right here at a ratio of 3 to 2. Well, out of that 600 milliliters, how much milk does Katie get? So for every 3 milliliters that Joe gets, Katie gets 2 milliliters, the ratio of 3 to 2. If you look at it like a pizza, and there was 5 pieces because 3 plus 2 is 5, there's 5 fractions right here. Joe would get 3 of the fractions, 3 of the slices, and Katie would get 2 of them, 3 to 2. So in order to figure out how much Katie's going to get, we're going to take the total amount of milk, so 600, and then Katie gets 2/5 of the pizza, right, of our fraction. She gets 2/5 and Joe gets 3/5. So now we're going to multiply. It's kind of tough to multiply a whole number and a fraction, so let's put the whole number over 1. So we have 600 times 2 over 1 over 5, as you can see right here, 1 times 5. So then we have 1,200 over 5, and that simplifies to 240 milliliters for Katie, which then would also mean that Joe got 360 milliliters.